Welcome into the show, everybody. This is the 76ers POSTCAST here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name is Mark Farzetta, and that sucked. There was some pulses of life there from the 76ers. They fought, but once you saw Joel Embiid go down with about 2:37 left there in the second quarter, and the Sixers already struggling mightily in that quarter, you kind of knew how this game was going to end. And that was with the Sixers being in an 0-1 hole here, unfortunately. 1-0 hole, I guess, against the New York Knicks in the first round of the NBA's postseason. It was ugly. It was horrible. And one of the worst things about it, aside from the blatantly obvious of Joel Embiid not looking near 100% after what was a dominant first quarter from the Sixers big man, aside from him going down with that injury after that thunderous jam at the end of the second quarter, the Sixers just got owned on the glass. And the New York Knicks were able to do exactly what they've done all season long, which is convert offensive rebounds into second chance points. And at least 4 different occasions in the game tonight, forget about second chance points, how about third chance points? Because that's exactly what the Knicks were able to do against the Sixers tonight. They continued to own the boards. It continued to get opportunities and convert those opportunities to even more points for themselves against the Sixers. We'll break it all down here on this 76ers POSTCAST.
You are Locked On 76ers POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in. Once again, my name is Mark Farzetta. You're watching 76ers POSTCAST here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. And once again, you are watching Locked On Sports Philadelphia in the 76ers POSTCAST. Big game in Philadelphia. Make sure you subscribe and like to the Philadelphia 76ers POSTCAST here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. It started great because my number one takeaway, and we're going to get into 3 big things right out of the gate here, okay? The first thing that jumped out to me was I watched that first quarter, and Joel Embiid looked healthy. Joel Embiid looked like his dominant self. He went out there at 15 points in 12 minutes played. That was the first time he played all 12 minutes of the first quarter since coming back from his meniscus tear, since coming back from the surgery. That was the first time that he played all 12 minutes of the first quarter. Since then, or before tonight, you were seeing Nick Nurse go out there. You were going to see him subbed out for a couple of minutes at most, and then he'd come back in to close out the quarter. But no, he played every second of the first 12 minutes there in the first quarter and looked spectacular. Did not shy away from contact down low. Did not shy away from contact to get to the free throw line. Did not shy away from driving hard to the basket. Did not shy away, as we know, yes, from shooting threes, and he still does that. He's going to do that. That's part of his game, and I'm fine with it. And then the Sixers just lost everything in that second quarter, including Joel Embiid for the final 2.5 minutes of that second quarter. But as I said earlier, they were already off the rails at that point. Joel Embiid comes back and does not look anything like the player that he looked in the first quarter. Now, put it this way, 15 points in the first quarter. He had 14 the rest of the way. 14 points the rest of the way. Now, for anybody else, that's a pretty good night. For Joel Embiid and the way he started off, that's not great. That's not great, especially if you watch the game tonight. You can't tell me that the guy that played in the second half was the same guy that played in the first quarter, because he was shying away from that contact. He was reliant a little bit more on the three-point shots. Was he getting fouled? Yes, he was getting fouled. Was he going to the line? Yeah, he was going to the line. That it was the typical Joel Embiid where he absolutely 1,000% was foul shot hunting so he could get to that line. If he could take a little bit of contact, he got a little bit of contact. But other than that, he was relying on everybody else to step up and do their job to help this team. And most notably, the guys that did step up, and I'll shout them out right out of the gate because they're 2 guys that I actually feel pretty good about tonight, and that's Kyle Lowry, who came up clutch for the Sixers in the third quarter, helped them go on a big run there, which was great. And it was also Tyrese Maxey. The only chance, after I watched Joel Embiid come out, especially in that third quarter, and I watched him play, the only guy that I said, all right, this is the guy that has to take it over, it's Tyrese Maxey. But the way you saw Joel Embiid play this game, he looked a lot more like the guy that was playing against the Miami Heat, and that ain't a compliment. The guy that played against the Heat was laboring. Joel Embiid looked the best he looked in quite some time in the first quarter of tonight's game, including all of how he played against the Miami Heat. The rest of the game, the second half, that Joel Embiid was the same guy I saw play against the Miami Heat. That guy can hunt foul shots. That guy can hit some threes. That guy can certainly help you put up points. He can get you some rebounds, of course. But all in all, he's not going to close out a game for you and help you win that game. This game tonight in particular had to be won by Tyrese Maxey, and it had to be won by somebody else getting hot late in that game. Could have absolutely 1,000% used Nico Batum another 6 threes there in the second half. That would have helped. But unfortunately, especially in that fourth quarter, nobody was stepping up for the Sixers, and it was just longing for somebody else to be able to help Tyrese Maxey to make a play. So Joel Embiid, we're terrified. We don't know what we're going to get for the rest of this series from him. I was feeling great in the first quarter, and then the rest of the way, everything off the rails. Now, number 2 of 3 big things. How is it? And I understand they do this to just about every team. This is what they've done all season long, second chance points galore. But 55 rebounds. Like you can make a lot of the second chance points, and you can. It's a miracle that they only got 24 second chance points, the New York Knicks. It's a miracle they only got 24 second chance points. When you consider the fact that they got out-rebounded on the offensive glass alone tonight. When they got out-rebounded on the offensive glass alone, 23-9. That's pitiful. That is pitiful. That is another team wanting the ball. Not all those are just fortunate bounces. That's another team being scrappier, being tougher, and just wanting it more than you. You're not going to get away with that with the Knicks. I've talked a lot before about how the Sixers have a deep team, and a guy like Nico Batum is a perfect example of that, being able to hit those 6 of 10 against the Heat. Deep team, they can really help you. Buddy Hield, he can really help you at times, right? Forget about that with the Knicks right now because they have 3 of their starters finishing double figures in scoring. They get a guy in McBride who all of a sudden turns into scary Terry Rozier of years ago with the Boston Celtics, just killing the Sixers with threes left and right. And they go on a run. They just put you by the wayside. And most of that is because of second and third chance points. Second and third chance points. I thought of the meme of the guy going like, I'm gonna outsmart you. That guy, the GIF, right? That guy. That's better. Well, you can't give up second chance points if you give up third chance points. It's all desire. That's what it is. Paul Reed tried helping you off the bench to no avail. Nico Batum tried helping you off the bench to no avail. Like Tobias Harris, we've talked about a number of times. Another guy had 2 air balls today. One of the saving graces of his game against the Miami Heat was at least he had 10 boards for you. He had 9 today, all on the defensive end. Joel Embiid had 3 offensive rebounds for you, only 8 in total, and still, regardless of him leaving the game early in the second quarter and then coming back to the third, Embiid 37 minutes were logged tonight by him. 37 minutes of play for him tonight. The rebound game just wasn't there. No help whatsoever. Reed in his limited time, 11 minutes, 5 boards. All right, good for him. Batum only came up with 2 rebounds. That's it. Nobody else off the bench. Buddy Hield, Campaign. You're not expecting Campaign to do anything for you, really. But Campaign comes off the bench, doesn't really give you anything in this game tonight. Not expecting rebounds. But no help whatsoever from the Sixers bench tonight. You flip it over on the other side, and out of nowhere, well, I shouldn't say out of nowhere because the guy is a talented player. It was backup. Mitchell Robinson comes up with 12 boards for you off the bench and gives you good minutes if you're the New York Knicks. Sixers had no answer for that tonight. Joel Embiid couldn't do it. Nobody could do it for you. And you needed so much more of a spark offensively speaking. You weren't going to give Paul Reed more moments or more minutes, excuse me. And the Knicks did exactly. Like, it reminded me of the old Denny Green thing. They are who we thought they were. And you let them take the boards. And that's exactly what the Sixers did tonight for the Knicks. They let them take the boards. And I shouldn't even say they let them, because the Knicks, I tip my cap to them. They did everything they were supposed to do in this game tonight to win the game. Clutch threes from Josh Hart to seal the deal. Good for him. Jalen Brunson hitting jumpers when he needed to hit. He had an off night tonight, Jalen Brunson. Still made his 22 points. Excuse me, two of their starters had 22 points. It was Brunson with 22, Hart with 22, and then McBride off the bench with 21 points. There's another big difference in this game. The bench scoring for the Sixers versus the Knicks tonight. You had 21 from a guy off the bench at McBride. Bogdanovich had 13 points for you. He hit 3 threes. That's 8 threes off the bench from the Knicks. What'd you have? Oh, nothing. Cool. Oh, sorry. Nico Batum had 1 3. That's not going to do it. But look, I bled into point number 3. But number 2, of course, rebounds, just getting owned on the glass there. And number 3 is he had no bench help tonight whatsoever. No bench help. That can't happen. And I wish that there was something that Nick Nurse could do in order to put a charge into this Sixers team. But if Embiid is going to be at 80%, and that was my concern going there, I thought, if Joel Embiid's healthy, you're winning this game. You're winning this, not just this game, you're winning this series if Joel Embiid's healthy. In the first quarter, damn, he looked healthy. Second quarter, that's where a lot of Sixers fans just go, well, here we go again. You love the guy. But when the playoffs come around, something comes up injury-wise. And I had been asked many times leading up to the playoffs, are you worried about Joel Embiid? And I hate to wish negative things into existence, so I didn't want to say anything. But it's never the injury that Joel Embiid has going into the playoffs that worries me. What worries me is the next injury, when he tweaks something, when he gets a broken face or something like that. He get like Markelle Fultz's shoulder leading into the playoffs. It's the one exception. Hurts his hand on a rim in Toronto before going into Miami. All this stuff 2 years ago, excuse me. All this gastroenteritis in Toronto against the Kawhi Leonard-led Raptors before they went on to win the championship. It's not necessarily the injury he has during the season. It's, okay, what's next? I'm not worried about his injury now. I'm worried about his next injury. Or in this case, tweaking the injury he had in the regular season. How many scares can we have since Embiid has been back? He comes back heroically, 2 months, comes back. All of a sudden, he's dropping 30 points in a game. He's playing 33 minutes. He's wildly efficient in some limited time, and Nick Nurse is bringing him back, and he does a great job of playing himself back into shape, and that's not a concern, as it's been in the past for Joel Embiid. And then in the second last game of the season, he's out there playing against the Magic, and he tweaks the knee. Goes through practice, as Nick Nurse says, and he's fine. He's doing everything in practice. He's great. We're going to hold him out of the last game of the season. Though he's not going to play in that game again. Not going to play in the last game of the season. He'll be fine. We don't need to play against the Nets. We can win against the Nets without Joel Embiid, and they win against the Nets without Joel Embiid. He comes out against the Heat, sluggish, dragging that leg around. Comes out tonight, looks fantastic. I don't know what they did, but it looked fantastic. What happens again? He tweaks the knee again. I know the cliche is we've seen this movie before, but without your big man ripping down 10 to 15 boards against the Knicks, without your reigning MVP getting you 30, 35 points, without him basically being his dominant, usual self, healthy self, it feels like this series is a wrap. And there are some glimmers of hope here and whatever. But if Joel Embiid's not healthy, then that's a wrap. It's like the same point you could make about, you're not going to score second chance points if we give you third chance points. Well, the Sixers aren't going to get bounced out of the second round again if they don't make it to the second round. Good times. We're having fun. We're all having fun here. Speaking of glimmers of hope, I'll try to give you one coming up in a second. You are watching, because there was one thing that I saw tonight from Tyrese Maxey in particular, that if it's not now for him to be the guy to lead this team to wins and to take over that number one spot, if it's not now, it at least shows you what could be. with Tyrese Maxey. We'll get into that in a second when we come back. There was a specific moment at tonight's game where I said, that's a guy I can ride with. Not that I didn't know it already, but in particular in the playoffs, this is when the real season is. And my tease throughout the entire year has been about, the Sixers are going to play 82 games of the regular season. To me, it's preseason because all that matters is what the Sixers do in the playoffs. That's all that matters, what they do in the playoffs. Well, here we are in the playoffs, and Tyrese Maxey showed up tonight. We're going to talk about one particular play that he made tonight that made me say, that's a guy right there that's ride or die. We're right back in a few here on 76ers Postcast on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You guys know about how amazing Yahoo Finance is? If you don't, you are missing out on something fantastic. This program is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. Wouldn't it be great if you could see all your investment and retirement accounts in one place? Well, with Yahoo Finance, you can do just that. You can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. How about that? Bottom line, you want to grow your portfolio, right? To deal with the rising cost of inflation, to pay off your debt, your mortgage, pretty much anything standing in the way of your financial freedom, right? With Yahoo Finance, you can get access to the news, data, and tools you need in order to help reach that financial freedom that we are all trying to obtain. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or you're looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They're the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analysis, analyst ratings, also independent research and customizable charts for you, as well as so much more. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, Yahoo Finance, yahoofinance.com. The #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Now, let's not forget about the great people, of course, at FanDuel. It's playoff time. The NBA, as we know, well underway. NHL, baseball in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every game right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Sounds like a deal? Because that is a deal. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks to rebounds. All that on the app, the FanDuel app. It's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So as I said, there's one moment from Tyrese Maxey tonight that I just looked at him as the guy that, aside from him pouring in 33 points, aside from him making reverse layups, driving layups, keeping the Sixers in this game, along with Kyle Lowry, there's one play in particular that I looked at with Tyrese Maxey that I said, this is the guy that is not going to give up. A hustle play, 96-92, about 3 minutes left in the game. There's a rebound that's falling directly in the hands of Josh Hart on the defensive end for, I almost called him Villanova, for the New York Knicks, and Tyrese Maxey lays out to tip the ball loose from Josh Hart's hands. Josh Hart then has to try to corral the ball from going out of bounds. He can't do it, loses his grip, stays Sixers basketball because of how Tyrese Maxey was laying out at that point in the game. Now, you might say it's only a 4-point game. Of course, he's going to be hustling. Well, not everybody is thinking like that, unfortunately. And if Tyrese Maxey late in the fourth quarter of a close game still has something left in the tank, and that's not to say that he's been conserving it throughout the game, because the guy has one speed. That's 120 miles per hour forward. That's what Tyrese Maxey brings to the court every single night. But seeing him do that in game one of this playoff series, knowing that Joel Embiid is not 100%, knowing that nobody else is coming off the bench trying to save this team, nobody else is heating up to try to help this team, with the exception of Kyle Lowry in that third quarter, helping the Sixers go on that run. Tyrese Maxey is going all out with about 3:30 left in the game and his team down 4 points, trying to create anything he can to get momentum going back to the 76ers. That's a moment that you look at Tyrese Maxey and you say, you know what, with everything going on, with nothing else working for this team, Maxey stepping up the way he stepped up throughout the game is exactly what you want for a guy that might be able to keep this window open for the Sixers, because I know everybody, especially right now, you're feeling like you're down in the dumps, and rightfully so with the way that game ended and seeing Joel Embiid go down, and you might already be talking about that window closing for the 76ers. If Maxey continues to develop and grow the way he has developed and grown over the last 3 years of his NBA career, getting to the All-Star game this year in particular, and helping this team win games still without Joel Embiid in the lineup for 2 months and keeping them in playoff contention, well, then now is the time to see how much he can grow in the next at least 3 games that you play. Because the regular season for me and this post-process era has just become something that you got to get through. And I love watching the Sixers and I love the team and all that stuff. But, man, if you invested your fandom in those 3 years of complete and utter dreck, you want more than just Joel Embiid's career. And there's nothing we can do about going back in time and changing things and making Ben Simmons develop a jump shot or Markelle Fultz not have thoracic outlet syndrome, or trading away Jimmy Butler and re-signing Tobias Harris. Nothing you can do about it now. These are the cards we've been dealt to this point. I really hope that Tyrese Maxey is worth every second of that, along with Joel Embiid. But Joel Embiid doesn't seem healthy enough, at least from this point going forward, to be able to guide this team to a series win over the Knicks. If he's not 100%, if he plays the rest of this series the way he played in that second half, barring Tyrese Maxey taking another huge leap forward in his career all of a sudden in these next 3 or 4 games, fingers crossed, well, then we're going to be talking about what this Sixers team needs to do in the offseason way faster than we really wanted to, than anybody really anticipated. But Maxey showing me that towards the end of the game, still fighting for the cause there. That's a great thing about a guy that you want to be your future leader on this team, and that's what I'll be crossing my fingers for Tyrese Maxey in the very near future. Oh, and by the way, right after that, Joel Embiid airballed a basketball, so that was fun. All right, when we come back, we're going to look ahead to what – also, one more stat sticking out in this game that the Knicks were – opening the door for you. We'll get to that in a second, and also we'll look ahead to game 2 as well. Here you are, Locked On 76ers postcast on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And now I'm going to tell you about how incredible LinkedIn is. This segment is brought to you by LinkedIn. If you haven't subscribed to LinkedIn, you got to make sure you do that, because when you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Now LinkedIn, it's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role for them. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit their leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place, basically. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours of the post. If you want to hire professionals, then you need to hire professionally. And you can do that with LinkedIn and LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and faster and more efficient. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So there's one stat, as I mentioned earlier, that I wanted to get to you guys, and that had to do with how the New York Knicks were starting out this game and how the Sixers were able to open up a 34-25 lead by the close of the first quarter. As I mentioned before, Joel Embiid played 12 minutes. Every minute of the first quarter played, was dominant, was great, was fantastic. Sixers, of course, had a 9-point lead by the close of the first quarter. The Knicks left that first quarter wide open for you. He had 15 points, Joel Embiid, in the first quarter. And then after that, the Knicks finally caught fire. In the first quarter, they opened up shooting 2 for 15 from the floor. They also were just 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. They let a door wide open for the 76ers to just put them away. With even a halfway decent second quarter and Joel Embiid not getting injured, the Sixers could ride momentum maybe, not shaking off any rust like the Knicks might be shaking off rust there in the first quarter, and then they're able to ride that the rest of the way. And sure, with the shooting of a guy like Jalen Brunson and how he's been playing at an MVP level over the last 2 months of the season, and Josh Hart, his three-point shooting ability, McBride's season high on the season was 9 threes in a game, and by halftime, I think he had 4, all coming in that second quarter. If you're just able to put him away in that second quarter and maintain somewhat of balance and control the pace of play as Jalen Brunson did so well for the Knicks, well, then you're talking about a different outcome in this game. But unfortunately, you got to play the game. And you got to play the game with Joel Embiid, who is the definition of injury prone. But looking at the Sixers coming into this game tonight and watching how he started versus how he finished, I don't know how you have optimism or hope for what could happen for the 76ers in this series. The only thing that I'm holding out hope for is Tyrese Maxey looking every bit of the all-star player that we know he can be. Kyle Lowry, of course, came up with that third quarter. I've referenced it enough, but really digging into it, though, what you saw from Lowry was coming out in the third quarter. First bucket in the third quarter for the Sixers was a Kyle Lowry 3. Brunson responded with a 3. Then Lowry got the steal, the run out, the layup, and the N1 to then pull it to an 11-point Knicks lead. So he cut into the lead a little bit. Maxey was able to get that incredible reverse layup there in the third quarter. He cut the lead back to 11 after a little bit of a run there from the Knicks. Lowry came back. He got another 3. Then all of a sudden, before you blinked, it started to be a 9-point game. Lowry was able to go to the line on a 3-point attempt when he was fouled. He missed the 3, but then he made 3 consecutive free throws. So he had a chance at a 4-point play, took the 3 points. That cut the lead from to 67 to 62. And Anunoby goes down the other end, gets a dunk. Maxey comes back with a driving layup at the 6:20 mark of the third quarter. And this is where the Sixers started to rely a little bit more on their 2 guards in Kyle Lowry and Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid was able to check back into the game, had a floater at the 5:43 mark, also had a 3 for the Sixers. That was great to see from him. And before you knew it, the Sixers were then down a point. And of all people, Kelly Oubre started to hit his stride again in that third quarter. And he started to come to life. And then it was a little bit extinguished by Dante DiVincenzo, who hit a 3 for the Knicks. And all of a sudden, Oubre gets a run-out slam off an Embiid steal. Oubre then hits a 3, and the Sixers were able to open up a 9-0 run. And before you knew it, after scoring just 12 points in the second quarter, Sixers showed some life. 36 points in that third quarter to the Knicks 21. Things were looking up for a second there, and then that's when things fell apart late in that fourth quarter. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, McBride came back to life. Robinson came back to life. And the Sixers just didn't look like they had enough left in the tank to be able to close out or really take control of the game. They had the good run. They had that fight in the third quarter. But as far as taking control of the game, that evaded the Sixers. So what's next? Sixers and New York Knicks will play game 2 of this best of 7 series coming up Monday night, 7:30. That game will also be on TNT. So we'll cross our fingers the Sixers are able to bounce back and get that victory for themselves. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. This has been Locked On 76ers Postcast. Hope to get some good news on Joel Embiid in the not-too-distant future. Until then, I'll be back with you guys tomorrow as the Philadelphia Phillies will go for the 3-game sweep for the Chicago White Sox. Phillies were able to clinch their another series. They haven't lost a series since the Cincinnati Red series, the second series of the season. I'll be back with you guys for Phillies Postcast tomorrow following their series finale and going for the bust out the brooms against that Chicago White Sox team tomorrow. So catch you guys then. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. I'm Mark Farzetta. Catch you guys tomorrow.